stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, as usual, we will consider approving the minutes of our prior meetings, all of which were on February 8th, and the first of which is our non-public work session. Minutes of the non-public work session. We have a motion to approve those. By Bill.
Second.
Second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then, secondly, we have the regular work session minutes.
So moved.
Bill.
Second.
And John again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Presuming there's no further discussion, and then the minutes of our regular meeting of February 8th. Mike wasn't there.
So moved.
So Bill and John, again, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain. All right, those minutes are all approved. Our announcements are pretty much as usual. Regular meetings are at 6 p.m. Next month they'll be on March 14th and March 28th. We almost always have work review sessions prior to the regular meeting at 5. Town elections are going to be March 8th at the elementary school from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and the town meeting on March 9th at 7 p.m. at the elementary school. As usual, weather observations for the month of January are available in the town hall. Anyone wishing to be listed on the agenda should notify the town hall before noon on the Friday before the meeting. And there will be road bans, and this is highlighted on my agenda in yellow. Road bans for the town of Plymouth will be in effect from March 1st through May 1st of this year. And then there's also a tentative work session on February 29th. Our next agenda item is...
Can I?
Yes,
I just
Neil?
want to ask Joe, is it your standard practice to allow heavy trucks to go early in the morning if the ground's frozen?
Well, they have to notify me first and get my consent, but if the ground's frozen, there's no reason why they can't travel.
I just wanted to get that out.
Well, I have a question.
Yes,
I'm
John.
seeing semi in the middle of the day up and down the fairground.
Well, it's not March 1st yet.
Hmm?
They haven't posted
I know
fairground.
that, but I mean, it's common that those roads were built to withstand the weight of those semis.
Well, the state puts a ban on fairgrounds road.
Okay.
So, John, your question is whether tractor trailers are supposed to be on Fairgrounds Road at any
At
time
all.
of the year?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
I met them all. I got a call over the weekend. They were hauling off a Chase-on,
Yeah.
doing a bunch of hauling chips and like pulp stuff. But I went and inspected the road this morning, and it was just starting to soften up, but it was still solid. They hadn't hurt the road.
So John, you're asking about whether this is an issue in the summer or any other time?
I'm saying, are those roads built
To
sufficiently to
Not really,
handle
but,
that?
you know, if they get in a tent to cut, and they have to access the lot somehow.
Well,
For me, it's just, if they disturb the road, they gotta fix it.
So it sounds like there's no prohibition, but there's sort of a common sense rule and... Yes, Neil.
Fairgrounds Road is a state highway, and the state DOT puts a ban on it when they deem it necessary between Loon Lake and Beach Hill. And our town roads are separate. Most of our roads are banned from April 1st to May 1st.
But otherwise, it's fine, any place.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is a letter from Ladd Rain, who would like to be on the Plymouth Energy Commission. and he's written a letter which reads as follows. Recently, I attended a Plymouth Energy Commission meeting. During this meeting, I was able to begin to understand the meaningful influence that this group can have upon local decisions. I enjoyed the conversation in the meeting and would like to be part of more conversation in the future. I am interested in serving on this commission, understanding more about the mission, and contributing what I feel could be my unique viewpoint, thoughts, and past experiences. I feel that the commission can continue to provide the town of Plymouth some experience, advocacy, and consulting towards a responsible energy future. I am excited about some of the opportunities for positive change that this commission can advocate and would like to be a part of that momentum. Please consider this letter my official letter of interest in serving as a part of the Plymouth Energy Commission. Lad Rain, who apparently lives at 151 Bell Road in the beautiful town of Plymouth, New Hampshire. Does anybody have any thoughts about Mr. Rain?
I would welcome him.
All right, so we'll treat that as a motion to appoint Mr. Rain to the Plymouth Energy Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any other discussion? I don't either. Well, I met him at the last Plymouth Energy Commission meeting. He seemed like a fine young man. All right, no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Rain can consider himself a member of the Plymouth Energy Commission. We have on our agenda at 6:15 a public hearing, but we can't have it until 6:15, so I'm going to skip over that, and Bill will remind me if I've forgotten about 6:15 when it gets near, I'm sure. And then our next item is Joe to talk to us about a purchase order with KV Partners, LLC. Hello again, Joe.
Mike's doing some finishing work on that project. So it's time to pay up, so it just came up above what I could pay out without getting a signature.
All right, so we have here a purchase order in the amount of $14,212.80 for Highland Street Design, and this is the town engineer.
Okay.
And they've been hired by us to look at the unfinished portion of Highland
Correct.
Street there, right?
So there's 3 bills there. And
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Oh, but they add up to the 14 too.
Right.
Right. Gotcha.
That's why you have the
So, so your budget already is 33.8, and you're adding 14.
no, I think that just comes out of that amount.
That's the total amount. I think.
So that's the invoice from KV, and it looks like their total budget is 33.8. They previously billed, well, I'm not sure if these are exactly sequential, but it looks like maybe they've previously billed 20 before the last one. Will this take us up to about 25 or 6, you think? So there's a few bucks left in that
Yeah,
budget.
he's got a little more to do.
Okay.
What's the projected overall cost of the project? Is it 500?
I think it's up around 6 now.
Well, this sounds pretty reasonable.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the purchase order for the Highland Street Design, the amount of $14,200 and a little change?
So move.
By John,
Second.
seconded by Neil. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then I guess we're gonna wanna sign it
Thank you, gentlemen.
on these tiny lines here. Well, I guess the invoices are just attached to the purchase order there. these guys are finishing that, we'll go to, did we decide to skip over Constellation?
Next meeting.
All right, we're going to skip over Constellation contract renewal until the next meeting because we need some additional information. Let's see here. This is, that's part of the hearing, right? I guess the other thing we could take up if we had 3 minutes is Paul handed us a letter from North Country Council, and I think what we're looking for is somebody to volunteer for the Transportation Advisory Committee of the North Country Council. Anybody interested in doing that? What is it? Sharon is currently the representative. I don't know how often, I was just wondering if it's said how often it meets here. Oh, here it is. The meeting dates are January 21st, so that one will be easy. And then March, May, July, September, November. So there's 5 more meetings this year in the North Country Council conference room, which is it up in Littleton?
What are they, what is that dealing with, Mike?
Oh, yeah, Littleton. I imagine public transportation issues, maybe?
If nobody wants
yeah.
to do it, I'll do it.
Neil will do it?
Yeah.
Anybody want to outbid Neil for the job?
If anybody else wants to do it, they can.
I think it's yours. Maybe I'll just, do we need to respond to them in some way by, do you want to do that? Can I give Neil the schedule?
Yeah.
So he has it? That'll
Or
take care of
I
that.
can send it to him,
Okay,
send him a copy,
all right.
because I'm going to have to remind him, I'm sure.
Joe,
A representative
representative for the Transportation Advisory Council, is that what it's called?
committee.
Committee. So it's a North Country Council transportation function?
I attended a meeting a couple of weeks ago on that, instead of sharing.
Is that right?
I,
Oh, you went to the January 21st meeting, probably. Did you find it helpful?
well, what I was looking for is there your ticket to find different avenues of money to fund projects,
Oh, okay.
and that was my reason for going. So,
Did you leave with a check?
no,
No?
no.
Any, did you get any clues?
Well, I get all kinds of paperwork which will put me in the direction that I need to go.
I see, yeah. Well, that might be helpful,
I can
yes.
speak to that, Mike. if you
Yeah.
like. Just, are you looking just for general background?
I'm
on
looking
that?
for a minute of Phil
Yeah.
until the public hearing.
There you go. You got 1 minute.
You're a
North
filler.
Country Council Transportation Advisory Committee, is that
Yeah,
what you're speaking
yes.
to? DOT gets federal highway monies, which funnels down to the local level through regional planning commissions, NCC. Got to get local input from the ground up. They're the mechanism. This all speaks to organizing priorities for transportation projects at the local level, which compete at the state level for funding.
Okay.
That was probably only 45 seconds. But it's very important that Plymouth, that every town, but particularly that Plymouth has a voice in this, because not only do we have projects of our own, but we want to speak to regional needs and have input and et cetera, et cetera. So we definitely would like a voice on that.
Good.
I was the rep before.
Well, Neil's
Yeah.
volunteered, and you've done a wonderful job filling that extra 15
Well, that's because
seconds.
I used to work with North Country Council as a transportation planner, sort of a rigger for this whole thing. But no, that's wonderful, and I can give Neil any background information, but we really should be there and have a presence, so that should be just about 60 seconds.
Yep, that's it. So it's 6:15. It's time for us to have our public hearing, our second public hearing on the, the acquisition of the skate park property as part of the town park system, I guess. This will involve a donation of a parcel of land from Alex Ray, who's actually here tonight. The proposed transfer would deed the following parcel to the town of Plymouth. It's 3.89 acres, and I believe its tax map number is 110-029-001, and then for some reason there's 3 zeros and then 4 zeros. That's a big number, a long number. Acreage is based on a one-lot subdivision approved previously by the planning board on December 17th of last year. The parcel will be added to the abutting town-owned 0.52 acre parcel, which is identified as parcel number 220-001. And I think I'll skip the trailing zeros on that one. We had our first public hearing. I don't know if it was at our last meeting or the one before.
December 17th. No, yeah, it was
It was the last meeting. So we're required to have 2 public hearings. We had one. We're having the second. So I think probably everybody knows the select board has agreed in principle to to accept a gift of this property. I think everybody knows that Mike Curry and a number of other people, including Mr. Clark, I think, who is here tonight, have been working on this project for years. Oh, and Alex.
Mr. Goss.
And Mr. Gowan, I'm sorry, yeah. Yep, they've all been working and have done a wonderful job, and it's provided a great recreational opportunity for a lot of the local kids who, from all reports, love it. The interesting elements of it, from our point of view, are that there's still work to be done, some fundraising to be done, and so we're going to want to acquire that parcel and have some sort of arrangement by which the current board perhaps can continue with some of that work to get it to where they want it to be, but other than that, I think we're all pretty much on board. We have a letter from the Conservation Commission today, which I understand has signed on to accept this as well. I think there are some thoughts they had in here, but I haven't had an opportunity to read the letter yet because we just got it, so I'm not sure if I should read this or just...
They unanimously approved it.
It says the PCC voted unanimously to recommend the transfer of ownership. And then I think as to the concerns they have that are noted here, we'll pay attention to those and do what needs to be done. And this letter will be available. But I think the bottom line is that they unanimously voted to recommend the transfer. So, and as far as I know, everybody else is on board too. So let's have a public hearing. Is there anyone here? I open the public hearing. I pound the gavel. Do we have any public input? Mr. Ray.
Hi, my name's Alex. I'm not a Holdens resident, but I guess I'm a public person.
You are indeed.
And this has been a long time worked on by different groups of people, done a very good job, and it's well used, but it needs to be in the hands of the town for not being a private venture, for enveloping it into the town's coverage, and it makes sense to everybody, and hopefully we can keep going down this path to improve the use and the value of that whole area from the senior center all the way down to reconnecting with Route 3 over time, with a little planning for increasing the value of all the buildings and homes down there. And right now it's always been, my memory was where they dumped all the snow in the winter, and there was oil tanks, and it's been a pretty crappy piece of land. It's undefined, and it's an abandoned road that I hope they will work on, but that's yet to come. But this is a good step. Rather than telling kids where they can't skateboard, we're telling them where they can, and they really enjoy it. And not just children, but father and son teams I've seen down there. It's really a good project. That's about all I have to say. And there's been a lot of help from a lot of people in the community. This is a community venture, not unlike some of the other things in town we're thinking about today. The amphitheater, the Rotary chipped in on, and that's another amenity that was worked on by the town. That Livermore's Fall project that's not really tax base improved. People get jumping in the boat fee, and that's what's happened here in the park and all the events that happen. And that's what a community should be. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you for, agreeing to donate it. That's very nice, and we appreciate it. I think everybody who's seen that park is impressed with all the work that's been done and the effort that's gone into that, so. And I guess, Alex, at some point there's going to be a deed, I imagine. Have we given any thought to like the timing and the execution of this?
Well, it's so unfortunate. Everybody's on vacation but us.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard, and McCormick's in Mexico, and not that Kevin's not even here, is he?
No.
And so it's all prepared, and all the parties have agreed, and it's
just a matter of getting it done.
when it happens, it will.
Do we have a thought about the timeline on this?
I do have some information. I don't want to be out of turn here in a public hearing, but I can give you a quick synopsis of a couple of things.
Well, I think if anybody does have thoughts, it'd be good to have the information, I guess, so.
Sure, I have some documentation for the board. It's basically an overview of the whole process, thus and such, this begat that, the whole history of it, so we've got it all on one page. Essentially, right now, the notice of decision for the subdivision is filed at Grafton County. There was a glitch with the Mylar because it was the wrong size, so they bounced it back, and a new one arrived today, so that will be going out tomorrow. So that ties up that half of the official end of it. The other, as you know, is the execution of the deed, which I guess is pending with Attorney McCormick. So in terms of conveyance, which is way above my pay grade, that's in transition, the conveyance of the land. Officially right now it's still Alex's. I did go through, I was able to get the background information from the Park and Recs Commission and the statutes that apply to that. I have packages for you folks to look over after, and my courier got me the bylaws and articles of incorporation for the skate park, and there's definitely, and it has to be hammered out between the two boards, but there's definitely language and an obvious premise for the integration of the two pieces. The skate park's articles of incorporation, which were 2009, speak to their charter being, and this is a quote, to conduct charitable activities that provide decent recreation opportunities for the youth of the Pemmy-Vaker area valley, and that these funds are to support planning, provision, maintenance of skate park, rollerblading, BMX, et cetera, et cetera. So the premise is right there on what its raison d'etre is, and then the administrative aspects of the Rec and Parks Commission is to consider future parks and recreational needs of the community, to formulate and recommend plans to meet those needs. And this is where we get down to the nitty-gritty. This is Rec and Parks, to appoint such permanent and or ad hoc committees as are necessary to advise and assist the commission in its duties and functions. So the mechanism's there. Should this pass public hearing and be legally deeded to the town, but the party's going to have to sit down and decide who wants to do what. I know Mike Courier had mentioned last time he'd be willing to work as an ad hoc member. The statutes do say, and you probably already know this, as with everything, the authority for Rec and Parks Commission and all these mechanisms comes back to the Board of Selectmen by statute. So I've got all the paperwork for this background thing for a further conversation I can give to you later.
Anybody? Yes, Joe.
I just had a question. With the transfer of the property, is the road, does that become a
No,
public
Jim,
right-of-way?
there's
Is it
going to
still
be a
private?
deeded easement for access off that road. Alex is still the
So
owner
it's
of
still a
the
private
road.
road?
Correct. At this point in time, yes. Yeah. And that will be, I believe, very clearly illustrated in the deed.
As
No,
a
it's-
traveled way,
Correct.
it's delineated on the map.
But in no ways any of that deeded to the town at this
No,
point in
that's-
time, no.
that's-
It's just a right-of-way
It's
access.
Film at 11.
Not at this point in time.
They're not related, but they're forthcoming
Right,
in the future.
You know, I think what Alex is referring to is there's been some discussion about what we might in the future do with that entire roadway down there, in terms of basically making it a town road at some point. And I think, Alex, you own that way now, don't
The
you?
whole piece is 9 acres, give or take. Most of it's south of the Old Burroughs restaurant, but
Yeah.
it wiggles its way through a lot of properties. It's not going to be easy because it's on
Right.
the thread of the road and there's no official easement, so it's going to take a lot of surveying. But eventually, that should, in my opinion, should be a town road.
Yeah,
Coming out to the other end.
but it's a puzzle right now. Yeah,
And we're working toward it.
yep. Other thoughts or comments? Mr.
I'll
Gowan?
just speak briefly. I've been on the board since the beginning, and I just want to say thank you very much, because we've had the support of the selectmen, the planning board, everybody, since we started this project, and it's gone pretty smoothly. You know, it's been a lot of work in the fundraising end of it, because this cost a lot of money to get it to this point. And the whole idea of this was to get it to this point that we could turn it over to the town, so there wasn't a cost, but yet it was built, and the kids were available to use it. I've talked with a lot of merchants in town who are extremely pleased that no longer are the kids grinding down their sidewalks as much. And
Yeah.
so it really has been successful. And if you've been down there at all to see the amount of kids on a nice day in the summer, you know, there'll be 35 kids there sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's been a little bit of trouble because it's kind of small at this point, but we have broadened it out now with new flat work we were down, and there's more to do. And, you know, we do intend to do a few more fundraisers this year to make sure it does get finished properly and create a transition to the town that will be appropriate. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Clark.
I concur with everything that Richard said, but I'd like to thank Alex, Richard, and Mike Courier especially. They put in a lot of work for this, and everything's worked out the way it should be. And thank you all for your participation as well.
Anybody else have thoughts or comments? If not, I'm going to pound my gavel again and close the public hearing. Boom. Public hearing's closed. Did anybody here have anything they want to say about the skate park? If not, it sounds like it's a done deal. And I don't think I have anything else on the agenda. Oh, committee reports, yeah, I always forget that. And you might have something, because, no? All right, we'll have our committee reports, and we'll begin them with Mr. Bolton.
Wow. So the Clemens-Wausau River Local Advisory Committee has not met since the last time we met, but we're meeting tomorrow. And we're going to be looking at the Northern Pass comments that we're going forward with. And those are to include whether we shall limit our purview to the quarter-mile corridor, which is Perlac, or address impacts to the watershed. You know, so the watershed is much greater than the quarter mile.
Yeah. Did that group, not to interrupt you, but did that group file an intervention?
Yes.
Interesting.
And we're looking for, you know, partners to, you know, join. And to include, well, maybe the university, or we're looking at, yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of the experimental forest.
Oh, Hubbard Brook?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. It's federal.
It'll take 20 years.
But the university actually is, you know, someone in the university is actually considering partnering with Perlac intervenor status.
Interesting, yeah.
And we're also going to be looking at stormwater runoff, the effect of that on implications from tree cutting and clearing within the right-of-way. the right-of-way is being increased from like 150 to 300 feet because of the size of the towers. And that's going to cause a lot of land clearing and issues with water runoff. Also aesthetic impacts, we're looking at those as well. But anyway, we'll be talking more about that
Can
tomorrow
we
night.
talk about the half mile? What half mile is that?
Quarter mile.
Is this the,
It's the zone that we can look at from in the Pemigewasset River area of towns that we cover.
okay.
And if anyone wants to put like a development or any kind of construction within that quarter mile, they contact PERLAC. PERLAC reviews it, looks for any impact, and then reports that to DES, and they give a report to the developer. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on there. And regarding the planning board, we actually stuffed envelopes, and you may have seen an envelope in your mail today. And you should look.
I'm going to.
It includes the questionnaire with a return envelope, and we ended up stuffing all these, not stuffing the envelopes, but putting the stickers on. So if you might have a bad sticker because I may have put the incorrect one on, but and these all went to the property owners. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a questionnaire about the master plan process?
Correct.
Okay.
The input from this questionnaire will go towards the construction, or at least preparation of the new master plan.
And is this the type of thing that North Country Council might have helped with?
They did, because they're contracted to help us do this. Tara Holmes, Tara Bamford is the North Country Council rep that was awarded the contract to produce the master plan and then help us with the evaluation of the input. So check your mailbox when you get home. In fact, I was going to mention the fact that there's I was hoping that we'd have this out, like, as the mailing was made, we'd have the online version as well.
It's this close.
Okay,
I'm getting it from Rebecca. It just needs to be physically or digitally put online.
Because we've already tested a SurveyMonkey version of this, and it's good in a couple of regards because you can just go online, you fill it out, and then we don't have to do data entry after this comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So
where would one find that when it is?
It'll be on the town's website.
It'll be on the town.
48 hours-ish, 72 hours, this week.
Okay.
Major.
And what's the return time on that? When do we want to have that done?
You got plenty of time. Friday, March 18th.
So 3 weeks or so.
And the deal with the SurveyMonkey was actually, we tested the SurveyMonkey as well, the questionnaire. It works perfectly well, so.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all good stuff.
Anybody else?
Well, I was unable to go to the water and sewer meeting because I was working at the polls that night.
Oh.
And I've been laying low for the last couple of weeks.
Because you haven't been feeling it.
Yeah.
I see.
And I wasn't able to go to the Conservation Commission meeting on the 16th, but from Lisa's report, I can see that they are comprehensively addressing all the issues related to that piece of land that we just approved. I think it's going to be an excellent mitigation opportunity.
Okay. And I can report that I went to the last Plymouth Energy Commission meeting, which would have been about 3 weeks ago. And there's really two things we're talking about there. One is this solar array that we would like to build down by the recycling center. And there's actually a consultant who's been looking at it, and we're trying to get, I think the status is we're trying to get a better idea from that person about how much it's going to cost, and what it would, well, it's not supposed to cost us anything, but I guess what it will return, and how good it will be for us, and how practical and feasible it is. And I'm not sure how far we've gotten along with that. That's actually one of the issues that came up with the Constellation Energy thing, which we decided to defer until the next meeting until we have a little more information on the solar thing. One of the issues with the solar thing is that the site at the recycling center needs to be leveled. It has to be, what do you call it?
Cleared.
Stumped
Cleared
and
and stumped,
cleared.
yeah.
Cleared, thank you. That's
Yeah.
good. And that's a relatively expensive proposition, and so I think that's kind of the stumbling block at the moment. And then the other thing we're talking about there, which I haven't updated anybody on for quite a while, is the whole streetlight project. So we've got, like, I guess it's about a third of the town's lights switched to LED, and we were going to move into the neighborhoods, but we wanted to do it with lower wattage bulbs. There were going to be 43-watt bulbs, I think, or 45-watt bulbs instead of 67-watt bulbs, which is what we have now, although the 43-watt bulbs, I think, have better lumen capacity than the old, whatever they are. What do you call those?
The high pressure sodium.
Yeah, the sodium lights. So, but now we think, I guess what we've learned is that it looks like the co-op is not going to be offering those lower wattage lights until GE stops making the higher wattage bulbs, which means we might not be able to get them until we don't know when. So that's going to be a topic of discussion at the Plymouth Energy Commission meeting on Wednesday night, if anyone would like to come.
Where's that held at?
Right here. And that's all I have to say. And if there is no further business tonight, I would... Oh, yes, Bill.
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I always forget that, and Bill always reminds me. Is there any public comment? I see the heads shaking. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn from
I move we adjourn.
Neil, seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We